With it being Valentine's Day, we thought it was only fitting that this episode have a conversation between me and my husband, Tim. We're going to talk about love after divorce. Divorce is a trauma that many people go through. Unfortunately, both of us have as well. But there can be a beautiful love story after that trauma. So thank you for being on the show today, even though I kind of made you. Just kidding. He wanted to be on it. So tell us a little bit about a man's perspective of divorce. What did you go through? What did you experience from that point of view?
Some of the emotions I think that I felt were depression, sadness, failure, to name a few. I think that it's basically the same emotions that I could imagine a woman would go through.
Yeah, I definitely went through that. I feel like it was almost a death in my life when that happened, because you really do take that vow thinking that you're going to be with that person forever, and then it doesn't work out. My case was a little different, where there was a little more trauma in the marriage, but either way, no matter why you get a divorce, it's still a hard thing for anybody. Did you think that you would find love again? Like in the moment, you probably didn't have the best feelings, but did you think that love again was possible after feeling that divorce?
That for me was really uncharted waters. I didn't think necessarily that it would happen, but I didn't think that it wouldn't either. So it was kind of like a lost feeling, so to speak.
I feel like I always had hope. God gave me a promise that I was supposed to be married to a man that I would serve God with. And when it didn't happen, I was like, wow, God, I thought I heard you. And he said, no, you did. It's just might not be with that man. And so I really truly believe that there is always a glimmer of hope that you're going to find someone, but there's also a lot of issues that arise with a second marriage. So I know, like, when we met, we immediately liked each other and immediately had chemistry and all that. But I know that I was still very guarded and
Yeah.
wounded. I had healed a lot, but I was so nervous about a man hurting me again. I'm sure that you felt some, feelings of being guarded as well.
Oh, 100%. I think that there's a lot of things to where there's similarities. I think more similarities than what you would imagine between a man and a woman. But yeah, I felt the exact same thing. I was really guarded. I was really nervous about getting attached and feelings, and then having that ripped away again.
Trust is a big thing. And when you have had your trust somehow broken, my marriage prior, there was some infidelity and on his part and some lies and things like that. And so for me, it's still to this day very hard to think that, husband isn't going to cheat on me, or the rug can't be pulled out from under you just because of what I went through. Now, God has worked on me a lot and he's shown me grace, and I trust you, and you haven't given me any reason to not trust you. But it is still in the back of your mind when you've been through that. So I think it's important to mention second or even more marriages, especially in the church, because they have their own set of issues. Another thing is children involved, baby mamas, baby daddies. We've had quite the exciting run with that ourselves. And so, but there's also co-parenting, which we're very blessed that with your ex-wife that we do that well. And I think that those are things that need to be spoken about more.
Yeah, and I think too, this is the thing. There has to come a point where, like I believe you said it, um, it didn't work out with that specific individual, but that doesn't give you the green light to not take care of your responsibilities. The big one, obviously, is the children. I think that that is top priority. I think above all else, above your personal feelings toward the person, it needs to be a situation to where they're elevated and they get what they need. And I think that far outweighs whatever emotions that I would have in the situation.
Our story is a little different because we did have an adoption happen where Tim has now adopted my sons legally as of just December last year. So it does make it a little different because our boys, we have them 100% of the time. So they're not going to the other parent. But with yours, we have to split custody and things like that. And so there is another dynamic of the children going and coming, and some do and some don't. These are all things that with divorce can be very hard to think about. I may not see my kids all the time. It can affect a marriage even if the one spouse is struggling because of that, because you never want to come across either like you miss your old life, because that could cause the other spouse to feel like, well, why don't you go back to it then?
Yeah, and I think patience is is a huge part in that. It's one of those things where if your spouse is struggling in those certain cases, you kind of show grace, come at it from a little light-handed situation, kind of more of a situation of understanding. Because yeah, it is difficult sometimes. There are going to be moments that you're upset or things happen that it may not be the exact way you want it or look like the exact way you thought it would be, but you just kind of got to navigate those waters and once again keep the kids' best interests at heart.
So let's talk about something good. We get a little deep. What are some of the greatest things you feel have come out of, that second chance marriage, the second go around?
Oh man, for me, yeah, it's almost like having a second chance at life. Not to sound dramatic, but it is because I'm a family guy. Like that's what I'm not built to, play the single life. I'm just not. So having a second chance means the world to me. Like it's like a new breath, a new light. Um, just a chance to live again. Yeah.
I feel like you know what you want. So for me, I'm very less tolerant of certain things that I was tolerant of in my first marriage. I know what I need at this stage in my life. I know who I am. I'm a little older. I'm in my later 30s. I knew when I was going into dating again, this is what I will accept for my life. This is what I won't. So it gives you a perspective of this is what didn't work and this is what I didn't like. So when you get that chance in God's grace and you get that second chance, you can kind of navigate that a little differently. And I think that that could be a positive thing.
It's a case of just learning, learning from like the past mistakes and things like that because I'm not perfect. In my first go around, I made my fair share of mistakes. It wasn't always fantastic. So it's one of those things where I've learned a lot, coming out of that, and I'm very equipped, I would say, to handle certain situations if they ever arise.
What are some fun ways that a couple, even if they've been married once, twice, however many times, can kind of still date each other and still have that fling and still have that feeling, even though they've gone through trauma in their life? What are some of the things that we do as a couple or that we should improve on that you feel like helps to keep that going?
I think, for lack of better terms, you used the term, but you said dating. How do you get basically dating your spouse? And that doesn't necessarily have to look like $1 million dinner or anything like that. That can be just spending quality time with each other, finding something that you both enjoy. It's time to connect because I think that is a huge part of it. Like the kids aside, work life aside, just having time to sit and connect with your spouse on something that you really enjoy, I think is very, very important.
Yeah, we both love 90s music and like music videos and trivia, like useless trivia that nobody probably knows but us. And so I think that that's one like small thing that we bond over, but it does make it more exciting and more fun. I feel like what some people do that is really a detriment to a marriage is one will have a hobby and the other one will not like try to get involved at all. And so I think finding something, whether it's something that you both really enjoy or maybe even trying to try something new that maybe your spouse likes a little more than you, I think it's important to keep that going. And that's what will help you to keep this marriage, alive and not in a situation where you're going down for another road of divorce.
Yeah, and you have to be a little bit selfless in certain times. One of your favorite hobbies is shopping. So, do I really enjoy shopping? No, not really. But
I don't know how you don't.
it's not my favorite thing to do. But going shopping with you is fun to me because it's time spent with you. It's time bonding. We talk, and things like that. Now, I think it is definitely important to have a variety of things. So definitely it keeps you on your toes, keeps you thinking about new things you can do with each other. Because like like I said, I'm not excluding like dinners and things like that because you and I like to go out to dinners and have new experiences, but just trying new things. What do we do? Zip lining. We've done zip lining. We've done all different kinds of other activities, uh, jet skiing, like all different kinds of stuff. So, but it doesn't always have to be, like I said before, anything super extravagant. Just switch it up. You know, a little bit of variety.
There's plenty of things we do at the house too that are fun and, hanging out. I think it's just important that you're best friends with your spouse. And I think it's a different best friend because, when people said that when I was younger, I thought, oh, like my best friends, we do this. It's different. It's a person that you want to be around, even though there's times that look, this whole Disney happily ever after thing that they taught us, it's not the case. It's a work to keep your marriage going. It's not easy. There's gonna be times that you are annoyed with each other and you have a fight or whatever. But it's the reason the person is your best friend is because at the end of the day, you know where your heart lies and you know where you want to be. And there's nobody else on this planet that I would want to experience life with than my husband.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So if you had to give someone a word of advice who is going through a divorce, who may be feeling like they're never going to find love again, maybe today is super hard. Maybe Valentine's Day sucks. I've been there. I was single on Valentine's Day and saw everybody celebrating and I was all alone and it was right after I left my ex-husband and so that was difficult. What advice would you give to someone that is walking in those shoes today about love after divorce?
Don't give up on it. Don't give up on it. I think we as humans sometimes can just kind of throw in the towel and be like, look, this isn't for me. I quit. You know, love is one of the most amazing things in this world. It's one of the things that makes this world a better place. Honestly, it is. And if we all just kind of gave up on it and think about like the dark world that we would actually live in. So I'm not saying don't be cautious. I'm not saying don't be, when the time is right for you, reach out, do so, but don't throw in the towel for good because it's just.
I think healing too is very important. Make sure that you go through your healing journey. Make sure that you are healed when going into dating because I know that when I first did it early on, I was not fully healed and I had to kind of take a step back and do that because it's very easy to repeat patterns that did not work in the first marriage or to jump all in and then you're still needing to love yourself. Above all, you need to love yourself so that you can then love somebody else.
And I think as a man too, some advice that I would give to other men in the situation is that if they are kind of going into a relationship with a female that has went through trauma or has gone through something and it, try to be as patient, kind as possible because you have no idea what they went through fully. So just giving them space and giving them time, I think is key too.
One last question. What do you love about me?
What do I love about you? Oh man, the question is what is there not to love about you?
Oh,
You have to be one of the most beautiful, kind-hearted, empathetic, smart individuals that I've ever met personally, and it's fantastic that I get you to call. I get to call you, I should say, my
that's a good answer. Very good answer. No, I love your heart and your ambition and drive. I love your sense of humor, although sometimes it can be a little much, but I still love it. I love your outlook on life, your quick wit, and the fact that you love people with all your hearts. We are very blessed to have each other, and it goes to show you that God is a God of second chances, and there can be love after trauma, including divorce.